needs to be trimmed, but see the tree?
Yeah,
I like it.
like a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys see the triangle tree?
Mm-hmm.
It's on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Is it recording?
Recording. Recording in process.
DARPA. We didn't finish talking about DARPA.
You only have half your face in there.
Well, can you move it? But I want a background too.
You got it. Mm-hmm.
DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. DARPA, government. The brain of the Pentagon, as they say, isn't it? It invented the internet, and now it's inventing transhumanism. Feel free to speak up if you want.
Okay. You're just relaxing.
How does the video look?
Oh, you're in shadows. You're in shadows. Your face.
Well, that's good because the sun is
No,
blinding.
You got sun and shadows on your face. A lot of shadows.
Yeah, because we're under the pergola.
You're not in the shadow.
Yes, we're under the pergola.
Uh-huh.
So, what is transhumanism? The brain of the Pentagon development next after the internet. It's like technology to make humans more. Period. Technologies to make humans more. So part of it is Elon Musk's neural networks, where they're putting chips in people's brains. You know, they know they're getting chipped. I mean, they volunteer for it, right?
Will this fall under biomedical
Or they're doing it in
engineering?
monkeys, or are they just doing it in monkeys right now?
Would this fall under biomedical engineering?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, probably all these things are in biomedical engineering, everything in transhumanism. Maybe not everything, but part of it is, by the way, guess who turns out gave $50 million to the developers? Is it biotech? It's the Eco Alliance. Let's see. Who developed the mRNA technology?
I don't know.
In 2012 and then in 2016, guess who funded the development of the mRNA vaccine? And guess what? The mRNA vaccine is part of the transhumanism funding by DARPA, by the Pentagon.
I thought the mRNA vaccine was back in the 80s or 90s as a result of AIDS. That technology, or was that later?
I don't know. So, don't you know they're gonna change us humans, right? To make us unhuman, transhuman, across human, better than human, unhuman, half machine, half human. And part of it is going to be the mRNA vaccines, right? Yeah. It could be that's why they kind of demanded the use of the mRNA vaccines to introduce them and test them on the world.
Whose dog is that? You ever hear it? I never heard dog barking like that.
I know.
Is that in Villa Rosa? Doesn't Villa Rosa go around that way?
I don't know. I'm not sure the difference between CRISPR and mRNA technologies. I don't know enough about both of them to know all the differences and similarities. I guess obviously, the problem with CRISPR is you're only doing one cell at a time, right? And then that cell has to divide and spread in order to pass those new genes along. You know, the CRISPR is the gene editing, right? But it only does one cell at a time, where the mRNA can act on many cells at once, but it's not directly on the DNA. It's doing the mRNA, right? Inside the cell walls, but not in the cell's DNA, not in the cell's nucleus, right?
They say.
So it doesn't change your DNA, supposedly. It's your RNA. What does it stand for? Dinucleic acid versus R nucleic acid. Oh boy. Do they both have double helix formations?
Oh,
As Crick discovered. Anyway, I went back to 2021. I was watching this morning a video of Bill Gates. Oh, I forgot I'd watched that video. What a villain. Like, what is the most evil thing you think he's done? Is it Epstein? Is it going to Epstein Island 100 times, being best friends with Epstein, the child pedophilia that his wife divorced him for? The only one I've ever seen the media confront him was Woodruff on PBS. Said, what lesson have you learned from this bad association with Epstein? Have you learned your lessons, you know?
yeah.
And they replaced it from, he said, yeah, I've learned that we kill Epstein. In other words, he said, Epstein's dead. And then he giggled and laughed and rubbed his hands. Epstein's dead. That's the lesson I learned from messing with him.
I would be a little surprised to hear that was the response.
I know, it's on video. I watched it this morning from 2021.
Well, he's always, not always, but he can be really inappropriate reactions to things.
Well, who does that? Who gets on TV and rubs his hands like this and giggles and hee 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 hee? Killed, Epstein's dead now. Anyway, okay, I don't think that's the worst thing they showed. The other thing they showed was that he was a big funder of the vaccines. He made some money on the pharmaceutical companies. And he funded the media, which pushed the vaccines as well. He gave to what? Remember, I showed you that list of like 100 news organizations all around the world, including Germany's news agencies. Gave just, hand out 50,000 here, 200,000 there. Right. And then the vaccines were pushed as the only solution. Do not even take therapeutics. Don't take ivermectin. It's horse paste, even though it does more than that. But oh yeah, okay. And so they showed this article again. They showed that. I think this is maybe the worst thing I've ever heard that he did. This is according to the Jimmy Dore and the newspaper he was quoting, and the articles that. I don't know. Do you remember this? That Africa, that the poor nations of the world, Africa, India, they needed some vaccine for their sick people, for the COVID vaccine. They needed the COVID vaccines because they are good for people that are like vulnerable, obviously old and vulnerable. The company Biotech, or is it Eco Alliance? I forget the name of it. They agreed to give away the patents and the copyrights to the vaccine so that Africa, the poor people of the world, can have the vaccine. Mm-hmm. Africa. The companies that basically have the patents to the mRNA technology for the vaccine said, we're just going to give it away to these countries. They can make their own vaccines because they're too expensive. What are they, like $500 each shot? Is what Pfizer was charging, making billions. Anyway, they showed the articles. Bill Gates, and I remember this at the time when it happened. I was thinking, oh, that's so nice. Finally, the billionaires of the world, the pharmaceutical companies, are going to actually help people for the first time, maybe. But Bill Gates led the effort and said, Absolutely not. We're not giving away. I own part of these pharmaceutical companies, and we're not giving away the copyright. They didn't give it away.
Greedy. Doesn't fit his narrative. Doesn't fit his plan.
Who does that? Isn't that like a caricature of a supervillain, rubbing his hands, giggling? And then if you freeze the videos, you'll see parts of his looks that he gives the camera that are absolute evil looks. I'm surprised I don't know if she still has her job. He's probably got her fired by now. I think is it Judy Woodruff at PBS? It's definitely at PBS. Definitely at Woodruff, I think.
Mm.
You made a mistake. What do you admit to it? But what's more evil? The Epstein pedophilia and maybe being involved in killing Epstein, murdering Epstein, or is it the denying health care to billions of poor people, brown people around the planet? That's Bill Gates, has great influence in the media, because like I said, we have a whole list of the top 200 media organizations in the entire world taking, $20,000 here, $100,000 there from Bill Gates. The other day I asked my artificial intelligence, what has Bill Gates been lost, what lawsuits or what criminal actions has Bill Gates been involved in? And the AI had a whole list of them. It didn't even list the first one I know about, which is the WordPerfect monopoly illegality that he ended up paying out. What was it, $1 billion, 800 million to the founders of WordPerfect?
That's changed.
The first one the AI listed was a criminal. He was found guilty of some criminal action in 2016, had to pay hundreds of millions in fines. It was a whole different case after the WordPerfect incident. I guess if you become a billionaire and you're able to keep your billions, you're probably pretty ruthless, pretty selfish, pretty criminal. Unless you would have given it away.
Interesting to see what his wife, Melinda, his ex-wife, knows.
Yeah, she just took her funds away from the foundation.
Yeah.
She just totally separated from the foundation because she knows she's up to no good. Now she's running, was it 12 billion, 12.5 billion she's controlling now. She'll probably actually give it away though, but unfortunately, it's very difficult to give away money appropriately. People steal it and misuse it everywhere.
So you should put it into something concrete, like building affordable housing for the homeless, or, you know what I'm saying? Something. That's an easy thing. So.
Yeah, just building houses for homeless, for cities.
Or helping children, or...
And then what's likely to happen is the cities or groups will wrestle for ownership of the buildings, right?
And they'll go down, and then they'll get...
And then once they get ownership, they'll crank up the rent and start charging people like they basically stole the buildings. Yeah. The city does. There's no way around human corruption. That's why I think the cure to all this is to fight all corruption through spirituality. I think we have to push spirituality. It's the only thing that's going to save us, or religion. I mean, honest behavior, less corruption. There's no cure for corruption. You get to a certain level, we're almost there. We're just gangs and criminal thugs and gangs are running everything. And then sometimes there's even police. The local police are often corrupt, even in their own way. But if it's a dictatorship, they become the dictators' thugs. biggest example of inherited billions being wasted I can think of. Looks like Carnegie, the Carnegie Foundation wealth. So around 1910, the U.S. had half the world's gold and to a lot of extent half the world's wealth because of the rich natural resources, endless plains full of wheat and corn and soybeans, and huge agricultural wealth and ability to, and trains and boats, ability to put all this food anywhere in the world, and oil and gas and everything, and free markets. Anyway, Carnegie, how did he amass he amassed like a quarter of the world's wealth. Was it through banking and oil, railroads and oil? Dale Carnegie.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, around 1910, he gave away his money right to the foundation. He said, this money has to be used for world peace.
No matter how you get there.
Yeah, and then there's a video from congressmen in the 50s where they investigated the foundations. They investigated the Carnegie Foundation, and the reports have been, hidden a little bit, but the foundation, the people that were trying to spend all this wealth, decided the best way to end wars is to take over the world. And how do you take over the world? You have one world government is through wars. So let's start all these wars. Let's start World War I. Let's start World War II. Let's just have endless war until the whole world is a democracy, or the whole world is all the cultures of the world have been destroyed, so that we're all like one people, one interracial people, and then we can, once all the dissimilarities of all the nations are disappeared, we can all join into one nation for the entire world, one world government. Then there'll be peace forever. Of course that doesn't work because corruption's the problem, not the government. Anyone in the world government obviously will become corrupt or is corrupt. And you're worse off then because there's no way to fight a corrupt world government. So it's worse having one world government because there'll be no way to check that power. Of course, they didn't figure that out. They're still pursuing it. That's part of the immigration agenda, is to make Europe and the United States more like Mexico and Asia, so that one day our countries can unite into one world government.
In the next few years, they'll crack down on that. So, all right, I gotta go in. It's hot.
Who's going to crack down on it?
Immigration laws.
Oh.
Should I shut this off?
Mm-hmm.